What's up, listeners? I am so excited about today's episode. It all started with a listener reaching out and inviting me to meet her for lunch in San Antonio, Texas. And what sparked from there is a friendship and a very different approach to home buying than James and I have ever talked about on this show.
It's true. And I have to be honest, all the time that we've been traveling the country, looking at hometowns and houses, I've only been looking at the existing inventory of any town that we've been in. Well, get ready to meet Sandra and Nik from Boerne, Texas, who are all about new construction and having a house built exactly the way you want it.
Their story as buyers who've had a house built for them not once, not twice, but 5 times is both inspiring and aspirational because they started at such a young age. And despite the 2008 crash and all the ups and downs over the years, they are really a true FHA success story.
On steroids.
It's true.
They're going to have you typing in architects near me in Google by the time this one's over. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present the Sandra and Nik episode today on Skiptown All-Stars.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to blow up your comfort zone at the tender age of 50? Well, we did just that. When our last kid went off to college, we hit the road in search of a new hometown. Now we bounce from city to city and bring you along for the ride. This is the Skiptown All-Stars podcast.
Welcome back, All-Stars, to another episode of Skiptown All-Stars. We are super excited today to be in Boerne, Texas, spelled B-O-E-R-N-E, Texas.
That's right.
Don't confuse it with Weekend at Bernie's. We are really excited to be here with a couple of listeners. It's been a minute since we got to get together with some listeners.
It's true. It's been almost a year.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us how that all came to be, and let's announce who they are.
So we're here with Sandra and Nik, and it all came about because Sandra is a listener of our show, and she sent me a message that if I'm ever in San Antonio, I should definitely give her a call and she'll show me around. And it just so happened I was going to San Antonio 2 weeks later.
Yes.
I know, pretty crazy how that worked out. Lucky you, Nik.
Very lucky. Yes.
He was working that weekend.
Yeah.
So we ended up meeting for lunch, which is, you know, I have to tell you, it's always a little questionable because she never knows what she's going to get. And I never know what I'm going to get.
You could be one of those crazy West Coast types.
Oh, absolutely. I think I probably am.
You probably are.
But yeah, so you know what though? The conversation was really good. I looked at her Instagram. She didn't look crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just so exciting that she was excited about meeting me and about the show. So we had lunch, and then it just turned into a lot of talk about real estate. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into, if you're ever in Boerne, and I was like, when am I going to be in Boerne? But let's see. And then we're here.
And here we are, right inside your house.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And the one thing that I really love about Sandra's Instagram is that she has all the before and afters of the renovation projects that you and Nik are working on. And I think it's so much fun. I mean, we don't do what you guys do. I watch what you guys do and I watch other people do what you guys do, but that's really time consuming. And it's like, I'm in awe of how you do it, how you tackle the project. You're both really, really busy. You have 2 kids, you have full-time jobs. Yeah. It's insane that you come home and tackle these projects. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Tell us about yourselves though. First, let's rewind. How'd you meet? How long have you been married?
Well, both of us are originally, from Arizona, Tucson, Arizona to be exact.
Okay.
And that's where we kind of met, actually in a hospital. So,
We met in a hospital. I was wearing this lead apron.
Under good terms, I hope.
He was like, that one right there.
That's like,
it was all the lead
apron. The lead
apron.
Apron was the one that
got
it.
me. Yep.
Was someone a patient?
No,
we were actually both. I was actually a transporter, and at that time I was like, I was pre-med, wanting to go to med school, and I was like, if I want to go into medical, let's go in the hospital and make sure this is something I really want to do. So,
yeah.
So what's a transporter?
You just transport the patients across the hospital from point A to point B. You grab labs, you do everything. So
Supplies.
I got to see every single corner of that hospital. So that was it was a very learning experience. So
Wow.
He had this cheat sheet of phone extensions. All of them did. And next to X-ray, he had QT.
Oh,
So
I
was his QT.
That is so cute. So cutie. CUTIE.
That's QT.
Like the two letters.
Like the kids,
that's kind of stuck since there.
Let me fill her in.
Okay,
As a Gen Xer, hun, the kids, when they text each other, they text the letters Q and T. It means you're a cutie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
There you go.
so you were ahead of your
Now
time.
back to our
You were
program.
ahead.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And you have a very small piece of paper, so you got to be,
You had to be creative.
Yeah.
He had like a stick figure of a nurse with like really crazy hair for I think the labor and delivery nurse.
Don't give out my secrets.
I know. These are all, you signed an NDA.
Yeah.
So did you have any codes next to like for him in like your phone, or it was like a cutie transporter
Okay, so when he finally mustered up the courage to say hi to me, I go downstairs to the ER. We had a separate X-ray room for the ER, and I was asking the transporter assigned to us. I'm like, so who's the guy with the bleached tips? And she's like, oh, Nick. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I'm like, well, tell me about him. She's like, well, he's going to the U of A. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
She did not give you much, did she?
No, she didn't.
You had to find out for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, the bleach tips though in a hospital, that's a genius move.
Yeah.
That's a way to stand out within the uniform code.
Exactly. Not too wild, but you're a little edgy. Make it fun. So.
Awesome. Real quick, let's just say I want to just say it specifically. So you met at a hospital. We did not talk about, we talked about what you do. We did not talk about what you do specifically, right? You work you work in OBGYN,
I
right?
do.
Okay.
I was doing x-rays. I was an x-ray tech for a very long time.
Okay.
And my goal was to eventually go into ultrasound.
Okay.
And it was always dependent on where we ended up going together. I decided to follow him to med school, by the way.
Right. Okay.
I just
That
went,
was smart.
I went in the back seat.
He's a
and
nice guy.
showed
That
up.
paid off.
Yeah,
I
right?
mean, just judging from your foyer and your living room, I think you did all right. It paid off.
All right.
That was a
I think
well placed bet.
Honestly,
I think so, too.
wherever he went to med school, you could always go to ultrasound school. So I
Right.
mean, like honestly, I mean
That was the hope. There was a couple towns where that's all
Yeah.
that was there was the med school and nothing
Right.
else. So it was very dependent.
Which what she's not telling you guys is that when I finally did get the courage to ask her for her phone number, I was like, can I get your phone number? But I have this big project I'm working on. Can you give me like 2 weeks and I'll call you in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah.
So
2 weeks
so I
to
call
the
her
day.
2 weeks later.
He
so.
did.
He put you on layaway.
He did.
That's awesome.
Did. So 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. And then we moved in together 7 months later.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
kind of like
Okay.
where
7 or
our
8
real
months.
estate kind of
Yeah.
thing started. I mean, that would have been what 2002-ish for
Yes.
us, and I mean, we had some friends that were like, hey, they were dating and they bought a small little house,
Right.
and we're like,
They bought an acre
Wow.
with a manufactured home because she had horses.
Okay.
And I was like, she just bought a house. Can we do this?
yeah, and we were
And
kind of
what-
doing the
what
math.
age were you?
We were 22, 24.
Yeah, 24.
Okay, so you're
Wow.
in what part of Arizona? What
We're
city?
still in Tucson.
Okay, so
He just finished undergrad,
okay.
Okay.
waiting to get into med school. That took 2 years to finally get in.
Okay.
Okay.
So in between, we're like, well, should we buy a house? You're trying to get to med school. Like,
Right.
It kind of seems crazy, right? Like
Right.
you're an expense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did it happen?
we just
Well-
went to the lender that they went to.
Yeah,
It was
we're like,
Nova
how do
Home
you guys
Loans.
do this? And it
Yeah.
was, you guys talked about the funness with FHA loans and things
Uh-huh,
like
uh-huh.
that.
Yeah,
So-
so we got an FHA loan.
We're familiar.
First
Oh, you
time home
did?
buyer?
We
Yeah.
did.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay, 3% down. So, how much was this house back then? This is 2003.
It was
We did-
$130,000.
That's actually kind of a
And it
lot,
was
though, for
11
22-year-olds.
Yeah, it was 11.
But it was like the rates were down.
Okay,
and
so
then
just
you're
under
like,
1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
yeah.
little 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
It was a newer house in a tract home neighborhood, but
And you needed
So,
like
do-
roughly 5,000 to put down, and
I
then
think it
closing
was
costs.
almost less.
I can't
But-
remember.
I know. I'm like, did I have
3%
that
would have
much?
been 3,500 or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Plus
wasn't-
fees.
It wasn't much at all. I'm
Yeah.
like, we did it. We had to buy a washer and dryer.
Well,
I
just
mean,
That was
after
probably a
that-
bigger expense than the
Yeah, it
what you had
was
to put down.
actually.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when Black Fridays were really Black Fridays.
You're
and you had
right.
to run down to the local
To
place, the
Sears.
Best Buy, and get in line and fight everybody to try to get in.
Get
So-
your washer and dryer because
Oh my
you
God.
needed it.
So that was your first home at age, you were 22 and you were 24.
Yep. It was our
Wow,
first
that's
home.
so impressive. So was everyone in your family like, good going, or were they just like, everyone in the family gets a house at that age?
No,
No,
they were like
very supportive,
okay.
but I think surprised we were going down that route.
Yeah.
And you weren't married; you were just dating.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
Wait, whose name was in the house?
Both.
Both of us. It was
Both
both
of
of
us.
ours. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did everything together.
That's awesome.
That is.
And so it
awesome.
took you, so you bought the house and then you still had 2 years before you got into med school.
Yep.
So it was a genius purchase, right? Because you owned a home and it was appreciating during those 2 years while you were waiting to get into school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
This is one of our victories.
That worked out.
So
That really did.
now he gets into med school and we end up renting it out
Uh-huh.
because the rule of thumb was live in it for about 2 years before you resell.
Right.
So we're like, okay, let's rent it out. So mother-in-law turned into our property manager.
Oh, wow.
And we rented it to these guys that were film crew for a news station. So they would do some of the news
You'd be like, hey, there's our house
stories in
on
front of
TV.
our house.
No way.
The anchor would be in front of the house.
Oh my God.
That
That's
was funny.
awesome.
So why didn't you stay in it while you were in med school? Did you leave to go somewhere else?
Yeah, we when I got into med school, I got into osteopathic school up in Las Vegas, Nevada. So technically, we lived in Henderson, which is kind of like how
Oh yeah,
it's
We know where it
attached to Las Vegas, and I had to go ahead first, and then we got a we
we
that
went
was
together.
for residency. Yeah, so
Okay, let's get into the bidding war. He got in. We took a week off from work. Both of us from work took a week off. Went up there to go house hunting.
Yeah.
But you're going to buy a second house now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah,
The timeline was
applied.
more like we lived in an apartment, but we're like, let's look into this. We did this thing called buying a house. It was kind of cool, and at that time, that was 2004. So we're seeing the market going up. We're like,
Yeah, Vegas is booming.
this is something.
Yeah.
And
Vegas is booming.
I remember it started exploding around that time.
yeah.
so we were kind of looking at things, and then we all of a sudden, we're like, hey, let's. For whatever reason, I think it was like Country Home or something like that. The one's 0% down. You got this thing.
Mm.
So
Even on a second home. you
Yeah.
could- so they didn't have the rules like they do now where you need
No.
20%.
Well,
Right.
what was even more kind of like was and if there's physicians out there, they'll know what I'm talking about. Is that so? I'm in med school now, and I don't have an income at
Right.
all, but I have all these student loan debts, and that's part of my income. So I'm having my income from my debt, and then she's working full time
So that
as
carried
an X-ray technologist. So
That carried us a lot
Yeah.
for these purchases. I mean,
Yeah.
it helped.
Just want to mention that Eclipse, the family dog, has made a cameo. So if you're watching this.
She wants
She'll
attention.
clean your nose.
Yeah.
Wait,
can see.
so you could use your loan as income.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Because he gets this sum of money up front.
Yeah, he
and they
does.
have to budget that money for the year.
Uh-huh.
And you got to pay rent. Most of the students
Oh.
are renting apartments. You got to pay rent. You
So
have
the argument
utilities.
was rent or mortgage. It was like,
Okay.
why don't we put it towards the mortgage then? So
So you bought a house in Henderson.
Mhm.
We did.
Yep.
Wow.
It was kind of it was a condo. It was one of those like triplex kind of things, and it was a smaller one.
was so
but,
cute.
but it was we really
Loved-
liked it, and that's where we
Love that place.
actually it was a KB home, and we got to do the build it. So
Oh, nice.
we purchased it, and then we got to go to all these places and pick out colors and
flooring.
Yeah.
everything.
Countertops and all
Yeah.
that business.
But your window coverings are much more extra.
So
Is
it wasn't
that
like full custom,
Yeah.
they said, hey, this is what you're getting, what colors, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And
Right.
and that's where we kind of learned some of that stuff. And
Got
one
it.
of the things I would do is we'd go every week and we'd take pictures, and I took pictures in the same place every time. And so later on I did like a movie of the whole progress of the
Time
Oh,
house.
lapse.
nice.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
time lapse.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
you did a manual time lapse. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So
So you're 25 years old, and this is your second property.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know, it's impressive. Really
I feel like such a
impressive.
loser.
I know, for sure. Yeah.
25 years old.
no, you gotta wait. So.
Just wait. The good part's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
so
All right.
go
A
ahead.
year later.
Well, no, I mean, like part of the journey that we had was all of a sudden the market's going up, and we're like, and the reason why we did one of the new builds was because we could not get into a house.
Right.
Every time we would go, there was a stack of like business cards from all the real estate
Offers.
agents.
Yeah.
People
Bidding
there was
wars.
lines to look inside a house.
Yeah.
So that's why we ended up, kind of taking a risk. We're like, oh, let's do this build. I know it's going to take time to build the place and everything like that, but that's what it ended up happening.
Mhm.
Got
So-
it.
Yeah.
And then again, market keeps going up and up and up, and we're like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Now we're at 2006.
Mhm.
I'm getting to
Yeah.
that 2008 kind of area.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
so
We're
so
coming.
we're like, okay, well, we really wanted to live in a house. The condo was cool and everything like that, but we lived if you're kind of familiar with the triplexes, there's like one that lives above the garages, and then the
Right.
two in the back and stuff like that. So we were above the garage, and our neighbor had a
Harley.
So that was
Awesome.
Under the bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
and you got to remember, I'm in med school, so I'm studying a lot,
Keeping
and
weird
then all of a sudden-
hours and all that. Yeah.
all of a sudden the Harley
Fires
goes,
up.
Yeah. So we're like, hey, I really want to do a house. We want to get a house. And
Mhm.
so we were kind of watching the real estate market in Arizona. And it was, our house went up over $100,000 within that time.
Yeah.
And we're like,
I think the
can
lease came up on the tenants, and we sold that house.
Yeah.
yeah,
We made how much again?
about $100,000 on that.
That's amazing. In
Wow.
2 years, 3 years,
Yeah.
let's
About
say.
3 years, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Especially for
Okay.
back then. I
And
mean,
yeah.
you hear of it now, but back then it was
Yeah.
kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially in a smaller market.
Yeah.
You know?
And even the condo we were living in, we're like, look at the value of this one. So what we ended up doing is sold both of them, and we put all our down payment into the house. So we
Okay.
bought another house, and
We
it was
bought a-
another KB home. So we built it, and everything
You
like
went
that.
through it
So-
again.
Well, you know,
did.
Oh my
but you
gosh.
actually were very familiar with the process.
Yeah.
So and you felt obviously comfortable with it. You had a good experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the B in KB is Warren Buffett.
Oh, I
you
did not know
serious?
that.
I
Yeah.
did not know
Is
that.
that
I
right?
didn't know that either.
That's actually right. I know. That's a fact.
You read a little?
I do.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like nobody here is going to refute that claim. So
my
we're
phone's
going to
over
give you
there.
that one.
I'm not gonna fact check
Oh.
this.
If you're wrong, the listeners are
Wait,
going to
I'm
come
so
hard.
sorry. They're going to come at
the
me.
trolls will.
They're going to come at me. It's not Warren Buffett. It's Eli Broad. It's Eli Broad.
Oh,
Sorry, it's Eli Broad. It's Eli Broad. That's who it is.
big
Okay.
difference.
No,
She's
they're
redeeming.
still
Slight
billionaires. They're
difference.
She's
still
redeeming
billionaires.
herself.
Are you
It's all
kidding?
I know.
Yeah, it's Eli Broad. Okay, anyway, so
So
you
we-
had a good experience.
Yeah, so we went in that one, and that was the country home. That was the
Country
one
home
that
loan.
that's the one that kind of blew up on us and everything.
Why do you
But
call it the country home?
that was
Country
the,
Home
the
Loans.
lender.
That was the lender.
Oh, okay, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
did
That
a
was the famous one, so-
Oh.
One of the famous ones that kind of
Yes.
in the 2008 kind of
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they went away, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
but they only went away, I thought, for people who overspent. Not like for people who couldn't afford the homes. That's where I thought that they
oh no, it destroyed their company.
It
Yeah.
did destroy the
It
Well,
did.
it
Sure.
literally
Yeah.
was 0%
But how did-
down.
but how would
on
it
homes.
affect-
I mean, that's what it was.
How would it affect you two? I mean, so you just have to get a new lender.
So we were fine in that
No,
house. We were there for 4 or 5 years
Mhm.
in that house.
Okay, so you get the
And-
house built, you pick out all your colors
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Okay, and how many bedrooms?
She
How many
really
bath-
likes that part.
I do.
The
That
part
was-
of picking out
Well, it
colors.
was
You
a-
know
it
what I'm
was a
saying?
It's 4-bedroom
bedroom,
house.
and then it had a loft, but
for
we're like,
two people.
Yeah.
and then,
Okay,
but the
that's
loft was
incredible.
made into a
You-
bedroom.
They had the option.
Yeah.
You could change the loft into a bedroom, and we did that.
That's the
And this is
custom
in
part.
Henderson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Okay, so you have this for how many years before 2008 hits?
Well,
So this is
We were there
2006?
for 4 years then.
Okay.
Yeah. And what happens
No,
is
5.
I graduate
It was
med
5.
school in 2008. I do a year residency down there in Las Vegas for 1 year. And then 2009, I'm like, I really want to get into the specific residencies. And I really wanted to go to San Antonio.
Okay.
And so I got into that residency. And
Can I
That's-
jump in though? Why San Antonio?
we have a lot of military in our family.
Mhm.
And so we have some family members that have retired in the area.
It's a good
And,
residency program.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
But
So
the
it checked a
city,
lot of
the-
boxes.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it
Okay.
did.
And at that time, we weren't even thinking about kids at that time, but it was also kind of that kid orientated kind of thing. It's like,
Right.
you want to raise a kid in Las Vegas? Nothing against Las Vegas. We loved it and everything.
Well, the
but-
short answer is no.
But we were single.
Against
Yeah.
Las Vegas
Yeah.
or not.
Try to
Nobody
be
wants
nice.
to raise their kid in Las
Yeah.
Vegas.
a lot
really.
of people do, but
They
it's
make
just-
it
Of course
work.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Okay,
need to work.
So really quick though, I have to ask.
Mhm.
Your residency is done in 2008.
Yep.
The market has crashed at this point.
Med school is done.
Okay, med school's done. Sorry, you
Yeah.
didn't start your residency.
Yeah.
So the market
Where
has
it's
crashed.
crashing.
But like, does that really even affect you? Like, I have to ask. Like, everybody around you is probably you're seeing houses being foreclosed on.
Yes,
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
over our
So what is that
neighborhood.
happening
right?
to you then?
So we were not in dire straits. There were no programs to help somebody who could pay their bills.
Mhm.
We just had a job transfer.
Right.
So
Well,
what
also,
do you do?
I was the
Oh.
I was the one that was kind of being the pain on because I think we got like a 10-year arm because I was like, I don't like these 3 years. I'm kind of getting a little nervous because
Yeah.
things are getting, and maybe there's a bubble. I don't know. So we did one of those arms at that time.
Okay.
And
So
That's
so-
actually smart. You locked
Adjustable rate
yourself.
mortgage.
Mhm.
Wait, did you lock yourself in for 10 years or was it
Yeah,
adjustable?
it was
Yeah,
it was
locked
no, it
in.
was for that 10 years. It would be that.
and it was going to
7 or 10, I don't
change,
know.
and it would have changed after the 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a locked
Yeah.
in rate for 10
Yeah.
years.
And what
Okay.
saved us compared to like
That's
our
really
neighbors
smart.
who had the 0% down is we had all that money we put down as,
Mhm.
for the down payment.
Our equity,
So
and it was gone
yeah,
Wow.
like that
yeah.
Oh,
in a year. It was gone.
And then I throw in the wrench in and like, hey, we're moving to Texas.
Yeah. Got
Yeah.
in.
So
So
we
what did
ended
you
up-
do?
yeah.
We got renters in, but we had to pay the difference
I know.
in the
Yeah.
mortgage. So we did that for 2 years, 3 years.
almost probably 4 years. Yeah.
2011, we were finally able to sell the house.
Okay.
And
And
unfortunately,
we sold
that's
it at
where
a loss.
buy
Right.
high, sell low.
That's
our
low.
That kind of, yeah.
Okay.
We,
So you had 2 wins and a loss at
Yeah.
this point.
Well, the problem was it wasn't just that we burned through all that money we made on the 2 houses. It was even then some. So we
Yeah.
actually
Right.
had to get a loan to pay off the mortgage so somebody could buy the house.
Oh,
Aw.
So-
Yeah.
holy moly.
So that's where thanks, Mom. I really appreciated that. My
Yeah.
mom came into play and helped
Aw.
out. So
yeah.
Mom, way to
Mom.
bring it, Mom. You're both medical professionals
Mhm.
in 2008 to 2011.
Mhm.
And you would think in a recession-proof industry, right? So you're both making money,
Mhm.
and despite all that, still with the way the market was and your loan worked out and all that other stuff,
Mhm.
it was still you still took a loss on that. So I think that's like
I
an
did.
important statement
Oh,
to
yeah.
make
It
Yeah.
is.
for a lot of people who actually.
Yeah.
Like, I know I worked in television at the time. I was working in television. I knew friends. Again, there were plenty of people home watching TV during that
Mhm.
time. It's kind of like pandemic-ish
Almost,
in
yeah.
a way. And I knew people who were making what I was making who lost their houses because of these loans.
Yeah,
So
there was a mass
know.
exodus of
Yeah.
Las Vegas employees, like teachers. It's like when we moved in, there was a huge boom of teachers into the
Right.
school systems because they couldn't keep up with everybody moving in.
right.
And then when the recession hit, like they're all moving out.
right.
I saw
Wow.
photos of Vegas, like outside of Vegas. So I don't know the towns. It may have could have Henderson could have been one of them.
Mhm.
But during that whole time, Vegas got hit the hardest because you had it was the fastest rising city prior to that. So I would see photos of houses on cul-de-sacs,
Mhm.
foreclosures, and then one house that
Mhm.
wasn't a foreclosure.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was so sad.
Yeah.
And so many young families moving there because you could get so much more
Yeah.
money for your
Yeah.
so much so much more house for your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to
It
see
was
how
a big trend in Los Angeles.
people
Like,
were going to
I
Vegas.
knew,
Yeah, I
I knew
remember.
people that would buy houses and then sort of come and work for 3 or 4 days, camera operators,
Mhm.
you name it, and they would crash at their buddy's place or split rent somewhere, and they would have a house
in
like,
Vegas.
back in
yeah.
Vegas.
So to hear you say that you had to pay the difference on your
Mhm.
mortgage, even though you had renters and you still had a loss, that sounds in line with some other stories of that time, which is so
Yeah.
unfortunate, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We
And-
knew
and I was-
people that qualified for like the HEART program, and then we just couldn't.
You couldn't because you're working.
we were working, we were making money,
I know.
paying our bills,
Yeah.
and we refused
Yeah. Well,
to foreclose.
Right.
We
I
were
just had this
scared.
thing because I'm like, I'm going to be a physician. I just don't want like a bad mark on my
Before
my
you even
credit,
start.
I haven't
Yeah,
even started.
yeah.
I'm still training and stuff
Especially
like
if
that.
you're going to start your own practice and all
Mhm.
that.
We had
you know.
aspirations too to like buy another home or build
Yeah.
another home, and nobody could tell you how long that foreclosure would stick on you.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So-
we didn't want to chance it.
And what happened at the same exact time is that we had some friends. It's
Mhm.
just, sometimes friends give you bad advice, but that's okay.
Yeah.
They give you direction. So
Yeah.
but,
With good
they're-
intentions.
yeah.
Right?
yeah, because he
So
went
that-
through it too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And they're like, hey, there's this fresh start kind of lawyers, attorneys, and they're working on trying to go after Country Home or whatever it was
Yeah,
at this
they're-
time.
Right.
trying to redeem your money.
And they're like, hey, go into their program. They're gonna try to get that your mortgage. So I don't remember how the math worked, but it was gonna like cancel some of your debt.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, well, let's go for
So
it.
there was a
And
bunch of cash up front.
there was cash up front, and I'm like, I don't
Aw.
have much cash, but let's do this.
Okay, team mom.
Yeah. And one of the things
Mom
that
Aw.
part of the
rolls through
program was
again.
is stop paying your payments. It's
Oh, right. Right.
and we're like, at the time I was like, I still need to do it. So we continue to pay our payments, and we give this money to this company,
Uh-huh.
and you get you get letters in the mail and everything, and all of a sudden nothing.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Gone.
oh, great. And
Wait,
So
they
we-
disappeared.
They
They
just
disappeared.
disappeared.
They swindled you.
No.
Yeah,
We got
So-
scammed.
So some of our
Aw.
friends
Out of
that were,
Tens of thousands.
they
of
were the ones that
dollars.
stopped doing the payments.
Oh,
so
no.
they're here holding the bag.
So they
with, like-
and they have the credit ding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
So they
that
got hit.
Brutal.
We got hit. It just, we were just trying to do the right thing. Be like, yeah,
Absolutely,
help us like get out from under this house.
when they went under, your mortgage company went under. How did that really affect you though? Because like you were like the mortgage just gets picked up by another company. I don't
somebody else
understand.
did. Somebody else just picked it up.
How did you have
Do you
a
remember?
loss because Country Home went under? How is that a loss for you? I mean, I know the value of a house went down,
Right.
but you obviously lost your equity, but there was no real penalty from them going under because someone else grabbed your mortgage. Am I
Right.
right?
I think the biggest thing more is that they were doing 0% down. So, there were some of us that put some money down, but there were so many that didn't. So
Right.
then we're in the same,
Got
the
it.
pool. So
Got it.
values are plummeting,
Got it.
So maybe, the lender, you get the statement, it's a new bank
Yeah.
and then
Someone
another
else
bank and
bought
you're
your
like,
loan.
okay, just want to make sure where the money's going kind of thing.
So the way the loan bundle is graded
Mhm.
impacts the value on your
Mhm.
house because of the new loan you have. God, I didn't even consider that. Wow. Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So
Wow.
we're now, we're in here, we got the house in Las Vegas and it was really we were like, oh, we rode this. It was working so
Yeah.
well. And
Beat down a bit on that.
Yeah.
so
I thought about this, and isn't it funny how, prior to 2 years ago, sure, the world went to hell in a handbasket,
Mhm.
but had it not,
Mhm.
we would still be talking about like people talk about 2008,
Mhm.
but only in terms of finances.
Right.
Like people forget how difficult that was
Mhm.
for families.
Mhm. Okay, so 2011 rolls around. You decide to sell. You sell at a loss. You have to pay off the mortgage.
Mhm.
Okay. First of all, I want to ask, were you happy you didn't foreclose? Are you still to this
Yes.
day
Yes.
happy though?
100%.
Yes.
Tell me
Yeah.
why.
It's just that black mark.
Okay.
And, whenever you do, I heard you guys went through a lot of, it wasn't a 2-pager, right? So it's a lot of paperwork
Oh.
trying to
A lot
close
of
on a
paperwork.
house.
Yeah.
And so, there's sections and they ask those things, was this a
your
meth house? Was
disclosures
it
and-
this?
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
did you ever foreclose? Ever? And you're like,
Yeah, that's
hmm.
always come up on our.
Yeah.
It would
Our
impact
house.
your interest rate for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
No matter like
Yeah.
20 years from now, it'll probably.
Yeah. Didn't
know.
you touch on that with buying a car? Like when you've got like such bad credit.
Oh, yeah.
The
Oh.
car dealerships like rail you on interest
Oh,
because
yeah.
this
For
bank is the
sure.
only
Oh,
one that's
for
going to
sure.
say yes,
Yes.
but at
Yeah.
a price.
Yes,
Like
Yeah.
you're paying
for
20%, right?
Yes.
That's why, I mean, our philosophy has always been we purchase our cars. We haven't, without getting into like, the sort of financial guru stuff,
Mhm.
but we've always purchased our cars. Number one, because
leased it.
we drive them till we die.
They
And
die until they die.
the cars,
Not us.
not you.
What I say?
You
Until
die.
we die? Oh, sometimes.
Still have that Beamer?
I know. I really want it back. I really do. The point is, so many Americans walk in just saying, well, what's my monthly payment?
Yeah.
Not thinking about long-term,
Mhm.
the implications of just, you're basically, it's like Apple Music at that point. You're just renting
Yeah.
Yeah.
your stuff.
And it
you
works,
know?
I guess, for some businesses. It's perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
he owns a business, but our accountant always said, do not lease a car.
Yeah.
He's like, and he would even tell me, this is the car to get because I can mark it,
Yeah.
and get a mark. What do you call it? Write off?
It's a write-off.
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 Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
I can get so much more for this one
Yeah.
Yeah.
than this one. So leasing just never appealed to us because I'm also not, and just personally, I don't need a car every 2 years, and some people do, and that is fine with them. Like,
Yeah. If I were,
Don't throw that at me.
I would say if I were
Shade.
if I were single or if we were dual income, no
Mhm.
kids, I would totally probably she would be
Mhm.
trying to talk me out of leasing it all the time because I would want to swap out that car every couple of years. I
Yeah.
just know I would.
I have an aunt that I think leases a Toyota. Like
That's
she's
so
had
funny.
Camrys
yeah.
my whole life. I've known her.
and she does
that
it every
right?
couple of years.
And every couple of years she
Huh?
gets a new one. I
She
think
likes
she
the new
finally
car.
upgraded to a Highlander.
Oh, nice.
But when you think about her commute and where she drives and what she does, she's
Yeah.
in Illinois, by the way. And
Okay.
she's not doing what we do. She's
Right.
not driving 45 minutes away to
Yeah.
go to work, and she's not schlepping kids around
Yeah.
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So she can do that.
Yeah.
That lease
that
pays,
sounds, yeah.
yeah.
And you know
Right,
what?
as long as it's
She really
affordable.
likes that new car smell.
right?
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
It smells good.
Okay, so we're 2011.
Mhm.
Where are we right now?
We ended up getting approved for another home build.
Oh, wow.
You know, we kept our credit up. He was making enough money in residency now, and I was making pretty good money
Uh-huh.
here, and we got approved for another home build.
And
Oh,
you
wow.
weren't afraid.
No,
Tell me why. Tell me what
'Cause
made
we
you decide to do
always
this again.
wanted a home.
Yeah.
we were going to be in a home no matter where we lived. We've done the apartments. We've always had to transition into a new place via apartment, but we were always going to do a home.
You have a loss though, and you
Yeah.
had to pay for 4 years on a mortgage with a renter, and you're in San Antonio, and none of that scared you.
No,
Gotta
actually,
move, gotta
you know,
move
like,
forward.
Yeah.
Gotta
That's
move forward.
incredible.
We're always, you know, I'm always reading and people are telling us like real estate, you know, get into it, get
Yeah.
into it. So I was always like, oh, you know, when is this has got to turn around sometime, right? It's
Right.
got to. So
so many
I just
people,
found it really important to have that your house, your castle, you need to have that. So
Among your friends, were you guys the first to like jump back into a mortgage?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
We've always been, I feel like, the pioneer in our friend group. He got one of his med school buddies to buy a house with his wife and family. They were a young Mormon family.
Oh, nice.
And he got them. And I don't think they had quite as bad of a loss. I think they were able to get out and sell before it got bad.
They were in
So,
Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you come to San Antonio and you're like, we're going to do this
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So how long were you here before you did it?
well, we lived in the first apartment because I had to go ahead because she couldn't get a job.
Yeah,
We couldn't
couldn't get
find
a job.
anything.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
X-ray and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead. So I went ahead and then we lived in an apartment and another apartment.
For
and
about
then,
a year. Yeah.
And then we're like,
year and a half.
let's do this. And my family out there is going to just, they know what I'm talking about. But they were like, why? Well, let's build again. Let's build. I like the build because you get to pick everything
You get to
out.
pick things. You get to
Oh my
watch it.
gosh.
So we
I
did
like
it
the
again.
idea. You're really turning me on to the
That's
idea. I'm not
exciting for
kidding.
us.
Yeah.
So we did
Is
it
there-
again.
Okay, but really quick. There's a price difference in building and buying. Because, okay, you said something interesting about
Then-
Vegas. You said there was a stack of offers on
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like, we're going to build. I don't know because I wasn't there at the time. Was the price
If
the
you-
same to build as in
it-
Vegas?
it
In
was.
Vegas.
It was just time. You know,
Yeah,
you
you're
had
willing to wait it
how do you put a
out.
price on time? You had to wait for it to be built.
Yeah.
You had
Right.
to
They would have
go
phases.
through all the processes and stuff
Phase
like
one, we release these houses. Phase
Okay.
2, we release these houses.
Yeah.
And
So you're in
you
San
signed
Antonio.
your contract, put down your earnest money, and that house was yours. And you
Mhm.
just had to wait.
So
Mm.
same price as a house you can just walk into and get 30 days later. So, but it's just time.
that.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was you can get exactly what you want.
I was just going to say, but specced out the way
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Most people think a build is just more expensive, and not always is what you're saying. Not always.
Then
I guess
Then,
it
yeah.
depends.
Now-
I mean, if
Now
you,
it's
if,
more expensive.
now it's
Yeah.
more expensive.
Well, if you go into a house that's already somebody's lived in, that's got the window shades and it's got it's been lived in.
Sprinklers.
So when you go and build a
Irrigation.
house,
Yes, that's
you
expensive.
come in and all
Mhm.
that stuff's not there, so you have to put that in, kind of thing.
Of
So-
course.
Right.
Yeah.
but again, I mean, you go into a house and you change things. Well, why don't we just start at the beginning? Why
Right.
don't we put in what we want and be happy with that?
Yeah.
So you come to San Antonio, you're like, we want to build. So did you
Mhm.
go to KB again?
We did look at KB.
We looked all over.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't do KB. We had a realtor recommended by his uncle
Mhm.
that just went looking at, I guess you could say, tract home builders with
Okay.
us.
Yeah.
And we found one that we liked a lot.
Mhm.
He was, I think, a custom home builder that went into tract homes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because like the area we purchased, it was like really kind of a nicer area. We're getting farther and farther out of San Antonio is our
Yeah.
trend. So we're getting North San Antonio kind of thing up I-10, and it was a really nice. I think it was Toll Brothers or something like that. At the time, Toll Brothers, woo, yeah.
Yeah, they
But it
were
was
kinda
like
high end.
they had
Okay.
everything had shut down and everything like that. So
Right.
these companies would come in and buy parts of their
development.
So
Yeah,
we're like,
so
hey,
they
we can
had-
get into a nice gated community.
Yeah, they
and-
developed it. They put all the
Mhm.
retaining walls up, and
Ooh.
we're talking 40-foot retaining
Yeah.
walls. So some of the lots had these gorgeous hill views, and some
Nice.
were lower and
so,
a little bit cheaper.
So we're kind of like, okay, we're at kind of a low point. Well, that means it's again got to go up again. So
Right.
San Antonio did not get hit as hard. They got hit, they saw it, but they've been able to recover. And so the real estate was starting to stair step back up. Not real fast, but it was starting to move again.
Okay.
So you're how old? And on your fourth home? I need to know the
I know.
numbers.
I know what is the
20,
numbers. I can't do the math.
8, 29.
Yeah, almost 30. Yeah,
We got married somewhere.
Still
in there
not even
too.
30.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you're in
Yeah,
your fourth home,
We
Yeah.
got
right?
married
This is
somewhere
your
in there.
fourth home,
Mm.
San Antonio.
yeah, owning. Yeah.
Okay, and you're not even 30 yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you're building. This
Building
is your-
another one.
This is your third build.
Yep.
Fourth home, third build. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's hard to keep track.
It is.
Are you
It's
keeping
a little.
track?
See
hard
why
for
I
us to
had
keep
to
track.
write notes? I had to write our timeline out.
Okay, so you build this house. How long are you here? in San Antonio in this build?
5 years on that one.
Yeah, I think it was about that because now we're kind of
He graduates his residency.
get a job and everything like that. Now I'm finally getting more than a residence pay. So
We have our first
finally
child.
can start doing these things.
We
You
have
know,
our
with
daughter.
medicine, it's always
Okay.
that delayed gratification. You have
Sure.
to wait many years and finally get a job, finally get an income as a physician. And that's when the wheel started again. And
Right.
we had our first little one.
Mhm.
That would have been 2015.
Mhm.
Now we're at, and we're like,
Let's build a custom
Let's
home.
build. Let's go custom this time.
Wow.
So not a KB, not one.
So an independent
like,
builder.
Like you
Yeah.
have to do
Yeah.
everything.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that includes, you have to find your architect, you have to find your builder, you have to find everything.
Wow.
And so this was like, do we really want to do this? And of course we said yes, but gosh, how many times did we almost get divorced during this time?
I was
because of
going to
that?
ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask because even if it's a builder that's building a home, you still have to agree on things.
Mhm.
Did you guys ever have disagreements in all the
Oh,
builds?
Yeah.
What were
Between
Yeah.
like us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's other issues, but yes.
What were the
So,
hitches?
yeah,
like
what were they?
Flooring.
Oh, flooring.
really?
Wow. You guys would throw down over flooring. I love you.
Well, see, I'm colorblind, so I always have to and my sister, she's out there. I always relied on her because she's an artist. I'm like, what goes together? And then
Mhm.
she wanted something, and I'm like, I don't.
I could ask my sister.
So
I know. And I'm like, can we just pick something? It looks good.
So
Please?
flooring was where you
Right.
guys would throw it down.
yeah,
Yeah.
flooring. I
Yeah.
mean, it was always something.
Things build up because you're under
I-
stress, right?
I learned I have champagne taste, and they give you a beer budget,
yeah.
I think that's everybody,
right?
right? I think so. I
Oh, that's
think so.
definitely us.
Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure.
But you have to be able to build so many houses together.
Mhm.
You have to be able to get along and have a good partnership, I feel, because just a home sale or a home purchase
Mhm.
could really be difficult on a relationship. But you guys are on your fourth build. And so I'm thinking, wow, they really get along well. Like you really have to, because now
Yeah.
you're thinking like, okay, we want to go custom. So really it was just flooring. It
I
was,
know, yeah.
it was
I
parquet
think-
or tile.
Yeah, I think now we have a good rhythm.
think
There's
so.
some things I put in his wheelhouse, and some things I just
Most
take
of it now,
over.
I just go just pick it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Handle
Yeah,
it.
I'll send
I
you
don't have time to
pictures.
call my sister.
Okay,
I'll
so
send you pictures.
I do have to ask, like, is there a room that everyone says, oh, the woman really likes the kitchen, but men like to congregate in the kitchen too. Was there ever a room where you're like, go ahead, Sandra, just deal with it and I'll deal with this? Or she was like, Nick, you can have this room. I can't deal with that right now.
He gets the garage,
Yeah.
and you don't have to do anything in there.
Well, and
Sounds a lot like our family. Except
Oh,
in
hers
LA, I
was
had a
the
shed.
master closet. I'm like, do whatever you want to do in that thing. I just need a rack. That's all I need. Just
Yeah.
put my clothes and my shoes in there.
Right.
But-
I've
Yeah.
always wanted that magazine closet,
Right.
and
I know.
every single time it gets burned.
That's
Oh.
what's the kicker. Like through this whole process is we always looked at house or with a double Z or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we were looking at the pictures. You're looking at,
Yeah.
and all the Instagram, all that stuff. I don't think it was Instagram at the
Mm-mm.
time, but all those things started blowing up. So you're seeing pictures and you're like, I want that. And they're like, you can't do that. I want that.
But
and you
why?
can't do that.
Tell us why.
The
Okay, so
first
you do
thing
your
out of their
custom.
mouth
Uh-huh.
is too expensive.
Okay, so how
Okay,
does
so-
it work when you do a custom house? Do you give them a budget first, or do you pick the house first, the design?
You you design it with the architect.
Yeah.
The builder will bid it out.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, they bid it out to maybe the cheapest price point that they're going to get from a vendor. They're going to send your cabinet design to their cabinet guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to come out with a very generic price without you going in there and picking out, oh, I want these very ornate
Right.
cabinets.
So he's giving you basic finishes, and when
Yeah.
you're looking in house with a double Z,
Yeah.
they're not like that.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so you're saying, "Oh, I want that finish," and then
Okay.
they're like, "Oh, this budget doesn't include that."
Right. So you have
But
to
you
pay
don't
the
know
difference.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
So everything's an add-on.
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, the plus for that, our first full-on custom build is he had us going out to different places and talking to these people. So he was
Getting
like,
an
hey,
idea of
what
what
do
we
you
liked,
want?
what we wanted.
So
Before he priced it.
yeah.
That was probably in hindsight the best thing we could have done.
Mhm. Now it sounds easy, right? Like, oh, just do a different thing. The problem is there's so many things you have to pick.
Yeah, it's a
You
long
end up
list.
saying, I'll do that later. And you build enough to get a full bid and you're like, hey, let's go. Green light. Let's start building this house.
Yeah.
And then when you start going back out, you're like, oh, we shouldn't, everything, what the knobs look like. And you're like, well, I like those. Well, we didn't ask that at first. So we got the basic
Right.
when we wanted the more nicer. So that's where that's where it starts getting kind of, hairy, because you want something and it's not matching up with what you think you're going to get. So,
Right.
Is that's the case always, isn't it?
and one of the, the most interesting things I've found is that there was a lot of things when we were building in Las Vegas that were like standard, like things that you're like, okay, this is just what happens. And we get here, they're like, well, that's not standard in the Texas area or San Antonio area. So there was like differences, and even like the stucco guys in Las Vegas and the stucco guys here, they do it differently, and so you have to kind of understand what the specialists are in the area. So
was the first custom build everything you wanted?
Almost.
Okay, you guys, that's like pretty incredible. So like out of a 10, it was what, an 8.5, 9?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Why not stop there?
Gosh.
That's incredible.
You're back.
You are back. You hit a grand slam.
Because the window sills weren't modern.
Well, yeah.
That was it. That was the one thing.
It's funny because it is like, it's like, oh, this is our forever home. We put a pool in, so that's a whole nother like journey and adventure and everything.
Yeah.
We've got everything, and we're like, but I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this, and it starts adding up. And when you've done this before, you're like, like we could do it better.
Yeah,
we could do it better.
We got this.
Yeah.
We got this. We can do again.
So you wanted to then get the Academy Award now. Like
I
you
guess.
had the Emmy, but now you wanted the Academy Award. You're like,
yeah. So we
okay.
So don't ever tell your realtor friend, if you ever find a lot with a view, call me.
Yeah. So
Don't ever say that.
Yeah.
Susan, we love you.
gosh.
Thank you.
Susan.
Okay.
A week later calls me.
This is remember, Super Bowl Sunday, and she's like,
right before
let's go
Super
to this
Bowl.
place.
What year is this?
2015,
16, 17?
No, we're at 2018.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
2019.
2018. You've been living in that house for how long?
5 years.
5 years.
okay, what town was that in?
Here.
That's in Boerne.
Boerne.
It's
Okay.
like 2 miles away.
Okay, so really quick, let's go back a tiny bit. Boerne, like you're in San Antonio, you're working in San Antonio. Who tells you about Boerne? And like, tell me what brought you here. Was it just the piece of property to build? Was that really it?
There was talk that the schools were much better in Boerne.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
you already had...
We had one at the time.
You had one child at the time.
We had our daughter. Okay. And so Nick started poking around Boerne stats. And he actually found the neighborhood. He's like, hey, this neighborhood's got, lots, acre lots, 2 acre lots. And look, it's got this lazy river, this great pool. The amenity center's already built.
Oh,
yeah. That's the part that we missed saying, is that we actually bought a lot.
Yep.
So,
bought the lot.
Which was a whole different adventure. When you buy a lot, it's different than buying a home because there's nothing on it.
Yep.
So
we closed on that lot when our daughter was like 6 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of had that, and it was kind of like, we knew we wanted that, but we didn't know when. But we thought, we were thinking about schools. We were thinking, I like the smaller town kind of thing. I like the vibe here, and I was like, let's do that. So.
And how many square feet was that lot?
It was an acre.
Yeah, it was an acre.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot.
So
okay.
It was 1 acre. And that was again, something I wanted. I wanted more land.
He wants 20
I like
acres.
tooling around in the yard. I don't know.
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I get it.
So, and she's like, I want to go with the neighbor. I can just go right to.
You want to mow this?
I'm living in your headspace right now. Yeah, that's where I am. So
I've heard you say this before, and I just like,
I want rescue horses. I want all that business.
Do you have a riding lawnmower?
No,
I don't. That's one thing I have not done
We
yet.
have to get. You have 5 acres right now. You have to get a riding lawnmower.
I want a tractor with one of those like
the rocks
big
out
things.
there.
I just want to.
Man.
I want it all.
You really want to go
Totally.
big. Okay.
You're gonna have a skate park there next year.
He's the cowboy he never thought he was.
Aw, that's awesome.
I do have a cowboy hat, even though I don't know where it is right now because you put it somewhere.
It's in storage.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get the property, and then you build how much longer? Like later on? When did the build start?
It took us about 2-3 years to finally build on it.
And then how long did the build take?
It took about
8 months.
8 months. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
really
It was
fast.
actually
That was a good
Custom home
in
8 months.
4,000 square feet in 8 months.
And you were very happy.
Yeah.
And then decided you wanted to go bigger and like just do it.
It's just
so
painful in
insane.
hindsight,
Start
you know?
laughing when you say
Like,
that.
it's
Aren't we
just so
ridiculous?
petty. It sounds so petty, but it's just, it's just things bug you, and you're like,
But you made
get
that
itch.
happen. You know that, right? That was your
itch.
stuff that bugs you.
I was going to say. Yeah, you guys aren't destination people. You're journey people.
Yeah.
They are.
You like the journey of house
Yes, we
stuff.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the thing with like the custom build is in the different areas is that you pick everything out and then like the window sills, it's like I wanted modern, and all of a sudden the window sills are traditional, and I'm like it bugs me kind of.
Did
thing.
you ask for modern?
No, we didn't know that. Well, we asked for modern,
those
but
finish outs we didn't realize to
we didn't even know to ask.
double check.
Of course
Right.
you would have. How would
And
you
so
have
it's
known?
something they just do, and they're like,
They do
oh,
the standard.
They don't.
Yeah.
They're not thinking the same way you're thinking.
Right.
They're like, throw the windowsills in. We got to move on.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So we're here, there's all these little steps, which to me they sound little, but they're huge. And those are the like details that you pick up later on. You're like, why did we do that? Why did we miss that?
Because no one told you.
No,
Right? How are you supposed
Yeah.
to know? Who should have told you
And
about
unless-
the windowsills?
Yeah.
Should that have been
Yeah.
the architect or the builder? Who should have told you?
That's a good one. We don't know.
I don't know.
We
honestly,
assumed
that's
the
the question I would love
architect
to know.
Would
Yeah.
have that drawn out
Right.
to look like this, and
Yeah.
then you should checks and balances with your builder.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are in 2023.
Mhm.
We are on a brand new build.
Yes.
And is this okay? So this is a custom build.
Yes.
This is not so you're done with you want to fix these windowsills and you're going to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the house now, right?
Yes.
We're on this house.
Yes.
Okay. How's it going?
So wait, this is the house with the view, right?
Yes.
That your
Yes.
friend said, okay,
Yeah.
just want to be
This
clear
is-
for
so this
everybody
is-
listening.
We're
Like,
getting modern
I just wanna-
windowsills.
Yeah. Now
We're
we're
on our-
at 5 acres now.
we're on our
so-
12th build.
Uh-huh.
And so I
Yes.
just want to make sure everybody at
4,500
home
acres,
is following
4,500
along. That's all.
acres.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's like, now we own half of King Ranch. Okay, go on.
Okay. So
That's the next goal.
That's the goal.
Oh,
all right,
please.
the windowsills. I need to know, where are we in this build right now? How far
we
in?
haven't done the interior yet, so they haven't put up like the sheetrock and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We're at electrical and low voltage and things like that.
Electrical plumbing is in. We have 2 bathtubs in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So tell me, we have modern windowsills in the design, I'm sure.
We do. These windows are pretty epic, and we had no idea what we were getting.
How now? You cannot say this.
Well, see,
Okay,
this-
I'm
this
sitting
is the
here going,
difference
you're
is that-
experts at this
yeah.
point. Now tell me why you'd say that. I need to know everything. Tell me.
Well, the difference, like we went with a different builder, so still
And
fingers
why?
crossed, we love you out there. But it was
Recommendation?
different than the other one, and
Yeah.
so things that we did with the first one, we didn't do with the second one. So it was kind of like, well, the first one we picked out what the windows are, what type, what color. He just picked them out. And all of a
He's-
sudden they show up and
he's
we're
like-
like, oh, what? I thought we were going to talk about windows and things like that.
He's like,
Yeah.
I know your vision.
But
This is what
luckily,
you're getting.
some of the stuff that he
No.
got was even better than what
Oh,
we
wow.
envisioned. So,
Yeah.
but it's just like, those are the kind of things. It's like, well, I didn't know I thought we were going to talk about this
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Oh,
Okay,
so
is that
how's
bother-
that? How's
Well,
that? Let's talk about the
the
cognitive
windows.
dissonance there. Like, how does that feel? Are you good with that? What?
we're still going through it. So
Yeah.
it's hard because you start kind of second guessing. You're like, well, I want that. Did we talk about that? And
Right.
there's a lot of penciled in kind of things
Right.
that you want to do, and then it gets kind of dropped or falls through the cracks and stuff like
Oh, yeah.
that. I mean,
Mhm.
just
Of course.
and there's things that I think that's where if I were giving somebody advice, I'd say write everything you want down.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
at this point, with your
Yes.
500th build,
Yes.
you still have to write everything
Yes.
down.
We
Yeah.
had asked for tankless water heaters.
Yeah.
He found one of our contracts with tank
says,
water heaters.
water heater.
I'm like,
crossed out,
I'm like, come
tankless,
on.
it's written in both signatures.
And did they show up
the
with
other
water
day?
heaters?
He's like, okay,
Yeah.
so your water heaters are going to go here.
I'm
And
like,
we're
I don't want water heaters.
We're like, no, we have tankless. The tankless go outside. What are we doing?
So those
Yeah.
are the kind of things that's like, are you kidding me? Like this, we've done this. We've
Right.
done this
Yeah, we
before, but
talked
it's
about
happening.
this.
I'm like,
Again.
yeah, it's happening again. So.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mhm.
Is this a Sandra and Nik issue, or is this a builder issue if you're having the same thing happen again?
Builder.
I think it's. I'll give some credit. I think it's both.
Yeah.
Because you have expectations. You think what it's going to be like, but you got to clearly communicate. And sometimes we didn't clearly communicate.
Right.
Necessarily.
I would say a lot of that we were on the same page. We're like, yes, we're doing tankless. Yes, we are doing modern.
Sure.
Yes, I can do wood floors here. We're doing tile floors here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a project manager for something like
We
this?
almost do. We'll be that person.
Because you're both working full time.
You could
so
be
how,
at this
we could
point.
be, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
So that speaks to the larger issue. You have 2 children.
Mhm.
You have full-time jobs, each of you. And you're doing this. And you're picking out cabinet hardware for the 5th time, 6th time, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And don't you think it's to give yourselves and the builder a little credit, don't you think it's only natural that some of the things that you would just assume happen won't happen because they're not in your, as great as they are at reading your mind, they're also doing their job that they've always done and doing it the way they've always done it, right? In some cases, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to just go back to the window sills kind of thing, but I mean, it's just, that's what they do, and you don't know. And it's trying to connect those two. It's like, oh, this is what we want. This is what you can provide. I mean, how many times do we say, just make a house like it'd be in Austin,
Right.
And they're like, we don't build like Austin down here. And I'm like, but that's what we want, but we don't want to live in Austin,
Wait,
like,
so can you show them a house and like say, I want,
yeah.
and they can say to you, we can't build that here? Why?
Austin, I think, has more architects that are more modern savvy. And then if you just drive around Austin, it's a modern house every 2-3 houses.
Yeah.
Wait,
Like,
hold on. Can a builder just build whatever you want?
True, but I mean, like the finishes is what the hard part is.
Yeah.
And I think that's where,
I would not have thought that.
You got to figure out, like, see what the builders built before and things like that.
Yeah.
And we did those home shows where
they
you would
do
go
home parades,
which
we stalked for years. That's
Yeah.
how we found our first builder.
Okay.
And we saw him build modern homes.
Yeah.
And we're just like, we know you can do this. How come we missed these things?
But even in hindsight, I look at some of those pictures we took. I'm like, there's the window sills, like it was. I didn't know to pick up on it at that time, but I mean, he put in what he puts in,
Yeah.
And I think there is like a big mentality difference. And I mean, even from California to Arizona to Las Vegas, like there's always different styles. There's trends. There's all kinds of things. You just have to kind of realize is that we were kind of fish out of water because we wanted something that the area wasn't ready for.
Right.
So
I just never knew that. I always thought that a builder, if I want a house built a certain way, I didn't know I had to find a builder who is familiar with building it that way. I actually thought a builder can build anything an architect draws. And you're telling me that's not the case.
No.
Wow.
So they'll follow the blueprints and you'll get the bones of the house. But you're saying specifically when it comes to finishes and those sort of aesthetic touches, that's where
the stuff that you
stuff
see
gets
every
lost in
day,
translation.
Yeah.
So
you want
Communicate
someone
that
with
stuff.
like
Everybody.
who's designed, who has a trained eye for design because they've done it before.
Yes.
Would you have thought that? In a million
I-
years, I think
I
a
would have
builder's
never-
just going to build
can't-
what you want.
As you're talking, I'm thinking of at least 50 things I probably would have missed.
Yeah.
And just if I were to pick out my own, I'd be like, oh, I want this, granite countertop.
Right.
And then like the cabinetry hardware or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're going to walk in and see your granite is rounded.
Yeah.
And you're like,
how
"But
thick is your
we
granite?
wanted
Is
square."
it rounded? Is bullnose? I mean,
Right.
everything is has to be
square in
done.
our house. Why is this rounded?
Right.
Because and he's asking, why would you not want it rounded?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and he
it's
literally
just-
cannot figure out why would you not want it rounded?
Because that's what the granite guys
It's like
were
your
told to
shower
do.
guy, the guy that wanted,
no.
that one guy that came over and bid Denise on the glass for her shower. She wanted it a specific way. She
Frameless?
wanted it frameless
Yes.
and swinging open, even though it's a bathtub,
Yes.
and like a half door. The same. She wanted the same exact door that the guy recommended to her in California, right? And all of a sudden, this guy in Florida is like, "No, I'm not doing that. Like, hey, what you need is this.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, you need this."
But because
And
he couldn't do it.
The
Yeah.
brass frame.
Yeah,
with-
he
couldn't do it.
Yeah, he
So,
just
I'm just blown away because I'm thinking to myself, if I have the money to make a home, a custom home, and I find a builder who builds beautiful homes, he should be able to do what I want. And I'm still like, I can't even wrap my head
I
around that.
know.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So you actually need to find a modern builder.
Yes.
But what you're saying is that they don't have those here,
They do.
but they're rare.
to the
Yes.
right.
So if you wanted a modern builder, they're a dime a dozen in Austin, but they're not like that in Bernie.
Right.
Mm.
Huh. What do you
And
do?
again, I mean,
okay, what do you do?
Your subcontractors, they're used to doing it a certain way.
Right.
I mean, and there's lots of brick homes around here, the brick facades and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want smooth, nice, just stucco.
And they're like,
And
what?
They're like,
They're going to make you a nice pattern with their
Yeah.
trowel.
we
You're
want
just like
flat roofs. They're like, flat roofs? What the heck is that?
right.
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 So
You guys, that's crazy. I'm serious. I'm like really blown away. So you would actually have to bring in a builder from Austin to do something like this if that's what you wanted to do.
We considered it.
We almost did.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't come down to cost or anything like that. It's just they have certain areas and they're busy. So they just didn't come down in our area.
That was the other thing I was going to say is they're actually incentivized. Like once the green light is given and the permits are approved and all that, they're like, bang this out. Let's go. We need, you know, we got this other thing, you know, 5 miles from here. I need half the crew on that by Wednesday, you know, that kind of stuff.
So
like contractor issues. So
now you're talking this crew's got to drive an hour to go to this job site.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it for them either sometimes.
No, totally.
Wow.
So.
Okay. So the house we're sitting in right now, not only are you building a brand new house, you're redoing this house.
Partially.
We're trying to make it, again, that's the itch kind of starts coming in. We're like, I don't like how that looks. So we're trying to tool around, and also just kind of, it's kind of like a therapy for me to get out of work, and it's just something completely different than medicine.
I actually enjoy it too.
I did enjoy this.
Yeah. So this isn't a custom build though.
It's fun.
Right?
It's a custom build in the 90s.
Okay.
So,
okay. It was. But when you guys purchased it, you didn't build this house.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
This is an anomaly in some ways for you guys because this is a house that you own that you didn't build.
It is.
Is it weird?
It is.
Is it weird?
Well, the secret on that was, well, why did we buy this originally? We're like, you know, we want acreage, and we could not find acreage in this area.
Well, no, rewind. We should have built a guest house or casita mother-in-law suite on the last house.
Right.
We were told you probably can't afford it. We didn't even get it bid out.
Really?
In hindsight,
so we scratched that off, right? We're like, okay, I guess.
In hindsight, we should have just had it designed and done it.
Right.
So we ended up buying this house as an investment and for mother-in-law. But after what we went through with Vegas, he wanted acreage because land will always hold their value, right?
Right.
So when we found this
especially
one, we're
in
like,
Texas, it's so prized in Texas.
It's
people are
very
so
prized.
proud to hold land here.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
People would love the idea of land everywhere. But I could tell you, just in speaking with Texans, when we were in Kingsville, we El Potrero Ranch and all that, it was just the pride of owning land.
Yeah.
Even if you're throwing a double wide on it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fine, but I got 10 acres.
In Texas, everything is privately owned.
Yeah.
Oh, we learned that.
That was a curveball for us.
No,
we
learned that. Okay, so Kings Ranch, going back to our Kingsville episode, Kings Ranch, they own, I think it's 80,000 acres.
It's huge.
And they owned more, we learned, and then the family sold, the son sold some off when the father died. But I was amazed, and somebody said to me, we don't want the government to own it. We want to own it. And I was like, that's beautiful. Like, I mean, that's beautiful, right?
It's the American dream, right?
Yeah. So I have a quick question. I'm sorry, I have to go back to this.
Fine.
You're spending money on a custom build. Is it at all frustrating? Because I've heard you say it more than once now, when builders said to you, it's too expensive, you can't afford it. Like, that had to kind of burn your ass a little.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I mean, you're a doctor, you're working in the medical profession, you're making good money. Why are they? Because look,
we couldn't figure that out.
People hear that all the time. You know that, right?
That one yet, still.
Because we're like, can we decide if we can afford this? Give us a price.
What is the number? That's all I want to know.
Yeah. You go in and pick out like your door handles, your cabinet pulls. I like these. Oh, those are expensive.
Well, what's that mean? Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
So, people hear that when they're building a $200,000 house. So to hear that over a custom home, which you know is more than $200,000, you're hearing the same thing. And, for someone who's building a house again, who's like, that's 200, they hear that and they think, okay, maybe I can't afford it. It's really such a crappy thing for people to say because they don't know. And they're like, I think they're shutting down your dreams.
Are you a salesperson?
There you go.
Right.
We could never figure that out. We're like, you're a salesperson.
Don't you think a lot of the resistance comes though because they just don't want to do it? You know?
Oh.
They're like,
these are coming from Europe.
If I do that, then I gotta
order these.
Then my guy doesn't know how to do that. I gotta bring in a special guy to do that. And I just think it's like path of least resistance just to prove the blueprints, you guys.
That are in stock.
Just get the ones that everybody else gets. Like,
yeah.
Because we have those in stock.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah. We've already bought the lot. So we're saving because we already bought like 60 of these, whatever they are.
So how are you? We're in this house. We're podcasting with you guys right now. And how are you guys redoing this house while building another? Do you ever sleep?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
He
Sometimes.
doesn't,
Yeah.
but he's used to that life. They trained him in residency not to sleep.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Long days. Yes.
I think the newness of doing a project was a big motivator. Like that day we had lunch,
Mhm.
we were up till midnight doing the floor.
Yeah, you went
In that
home
room.
and
It
you
was-
she did a video on Instagram that evening of the floor. I just saw her 3 hours ago. What is happening in
Yeah.
her house right now?
Knocked out the floors that day. That was great. We were trying to make this house a little nicer, to go back to your question, for resale. And I think when mother-in-law was living in here, she always wanted to redo the floors. And now that we're here, we're like, well, let's do it. We can do this.
Yeah.
Let's do it ourselves. And then when you start walking around Costco and you're pricing out laminate that's just there, and you're like, well, we'll do the square footage, Nick. Just add this up real quick.
Right.
Put it in the cart.
Yeah. How much do you think this?
I do that all the time.
He's like, I
really do.
think 1,500 and we can do it. And I think we've stayed under 2,000
Wow.
just
okay.
doing the 3
Yeah.
bedrooms.
That's
and
amazing.
Repainting or touching up paint. And it took us like a month and a week.
Wow.
That's
okay.
incredible.
To
Okay.
just do it on weekends or when he was home.
You know, Nick,
So we
you
did it.
might want to throw in the towel with medicine. You too.
I know, I was just gonna say, I kind of see an HGTV show in
I
your
do,
future.
I
This could
do.
be our
Take us
experiment
with
house.
you. Take us with you when you make it.
Oh, I could go to town on this house. There's so many, I think, fun things you could do to just update it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be that hard. It's just the expense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then our money's tied up in the new house. So we don't want to
Right.
go overboard.
Wait, so
No,
are you
for sure.
going to sell? Wait, is there a mother-in-law casita on the
Mhm.
new build?
Yeah, we
Mhm.
did do that
There
this
is.
time. Yeah.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
She has her own house.
Okay, is she gonna
Future Airbnb.
miss? So wait, is this gonna be future Airbnb?
No.
Or no, you're talking about
the mother-in-law casita.
you're so
Well,
funny.
I want her to
Or
have a
daughter.
home base and be
Yes.
able to travel and do things and stuff like that.
Aw, you're a good son.
But she also is she helps a lot with our kids.
Oh gosh.
So
It does take
I
a
think
village.
that's
You're
what's the
a good
missing link,
daughter-in-law.
with all this is having my mom or having a parent helping. That's really been
Right.
We've
the godsend.
always wanted to take care of her because she helps us so much with the kids.
Mhm.
Like we couldn't do half of what we do without her.
That's great.
You're a good daughter-in-law.
I,
You really
I
are.
try. This is
That's
a very
amazing.
dynamic relationship.
Yeah.
But she must be good because
I love her to death. She
Uh-huh.
is. She is a great person.
you couldn't live with her if she wasn't. I have to tell you. I mean, honestly.
We're trying. You saw her
That's
casita
why
out
the
there,
casita
right?
is
Yeah, we
detached
did,
this time. Okay, so
I mean, she's a trooper
read
to
between the
live in
lines.
that.
Absolutely.
She is a trooper. She
Yeah.
just out to move out of here and go live in the trailer. She's
Yeah,
She
so we
is.
should say it succinctly. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a trailer next to the house here. There's
Yeah.
a trailer living over there while all
Well,
this stuff is
It
going
sounds
on.
Yeah.
So.
bad. It's no point, but
She likes her own space.
Mhm.
And
can
we've,
blame her?
We've learned that we need a little bit of our own space as well. But
Yeah.
she is a trooper to do that. And oh man, Nick is now the RV expert, trailer expert.
Is
Awesome.
that right?
oh, I've
Oh,
learned
We're,
a
I
heck of a
smell a
lot. I've learned-
spinoff. You
I-
haven't even created the show yet, and now
I-
you have another show.
Yeah.
Right?
love it.
I totally understand why you guys are not RV people.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot
Like,
of work.
Now that we've
Yeah,
had
it's
to
a lot of work.
just deal with one that's parked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's a nice.
They
RV,
break down
you
all the
know.
time. The ones that move.
And nothing ever works. Things break.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
we
Yeah.
had when
Molded
we had the big
plastic.
freeze.
Leaks.
Oh.
One of the faucets
right.
just completely broke, and
Yeah,
so
blew up.
so I'm in there trying to I fixed it and stuff like that, and I'm like, God, these this is like it's not like a house,
Right.
and
No.
so the connections are different and everything, and it's
Yeah.
like this is plastic. Why is it plastic?
Yeah.
So I ended
And
up
those aren't
Got to
cheap.
keep everything lightweight when
I
you're
know.
pulling it down the freeway,
That's
right?
exactly what he's learned. He's like,
Yep.
well, it's made to be light and cheap.
yeah.
Okay, so
So
I have
fascinating.
It really is.
considering how much they cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
It's a
'cause
lifestyle I don't
Well, you
want.
realize
Yeah.
why there's a step up in cost.
Oh,
You know,
for sure. You're right.
you
You're right.
quickly realize, yeah.
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 So does your mom go and look at her casita being built?
She does.
Oh,
that's
that's so
sweet.
sweet.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
Yes.
so what is the timeline? Like, where are we in this build? You said that you have the
sheetrock and the
sheetrock is
drywall.
up.
Mhm.
So
Sheetrock is coming.
okay.
We are probably end of the year.
Oh,
End of the year,
Okay.
beginning of next year.
Nice.
okay.
Yeah.
What? Tell us something. Tell us something new you've learned. Tell us something how you won. Tell us how you lost. Tell us some good things,
We are
bad things, everything in
doing-
between.
We are doing a rooftop deck and it's not going to leak.
Okay.
Well, this comes back to the beginning when it's kind of like, we want a flat roof, and
Right.
they don't make flat roofs in this area. So,
Yeah.
it's knocking on wood that it's going to be okay and everything like that.
Yeah. So
But-
our builder found a product that you're supposed to be able to detach separately if there's a leak, so that you're not ripping up your whole deck
Oh.
or the roof.
Okay.
Oh.
But that's the win though, is that this
Yeah.
deck it's going to be awesome.
This deck
That's
is
I'm
awesome.
really looking forward to
Our
it.
pool is going to be awesome.
Mhm.
We've positioned and designed the house for the view.
Okay.
You know,
Great.
you're going to be sitting in our pool. You can see the view. You're going to be upstairs.
Oh.
You can see the view. You're going to be
Awesome.
cooking in our kitchen and see the view.
What is the view? Tell everyone what the view
so
is.
we live in an area called the Hill Country.
Mm.
And it's a very desirable area because if you get the right place, right lot, you have views of hills. We don't have
Yeah.
mountains in Texas. We
Right.
grew up around mountains.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to have a mountain view.
Yeah,
And
for
anywhere
sure.
in Tucson, you have a mountain view.
Hmm.
So to live in a hill country, that's the closest we get. And
Yeah.
it is. It's pretty. It's peaceful. It's
Mhm.
nice.
That's awesome.
That's why we did it again.
Good for you. Oh my gosh. I can't
Fingers
believe
crossed.
you're doing it again. I'm in awe. I'm in
I know.
awe of you. Everything that you've taken on over the years, ups and downs. And just the fact that you're not afraid to admit, like, we're still learning, or
Yeah.
we're still taking an L on certain things
we
here and
messed
there.
up. Yeah.
I think that's very brave of you, because at this point you could just say, "Yeah, we're doing it again." You could totally be pretentious about it, and it's only our 5th build or 6th build or whatever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you're being really honest about it though. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing it, because
Yeah.
he's right.
Yeah.
You're right. Most people are like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've done it so many times before. What has been the most, I don't want to say difficult challenge, because it's not that surprise. What's been the biggest surprise on this build that you didn't come across in your last 700 builds?
The engineering.
Engineering, yeah, that was a curveball we did not see coming. With the again, back to the modern home, it's
Yeah.
got certain style, construction, and everything. And the architect had an engineer that come in and everything, and then when it starts getting built, it's like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
We can't do
This
this.
isn't going to work.
Wait a second. Hold on. You have designs. So an architect has to know if it can be built.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why you have an engineer, and they do all the trusses, and they make sure all the weights and all that
Everything's
kind of stuff.
weighted.
And then the
Plus you're doing
builders,
a hillside build, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there are all of those retention wall issues and all that stuff, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So the builders in there, hammering away, putting all the wood up, and
The steel
and-
work is
and this-
getting done.
and all of a sudden it's like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
This doesn't match up. And then you get the call, we got a change order coming in, and you got to pay for us to change this.
And this is a
So-
$10,000 change because this is an engineering thing and you have to do it.
And we're like, oh.
Wait, doesn't the engineering come before they start building?
Mhm.
They do checks too.
It's sort of a best laid plans of mice and men kind of thing. It's like, this looks like it's going to work on paper, and then in application,
The
And
first
this-
time when we did it the last time, we didn't have any problems with it.
We had a minor
So-
issue with a wall that had too much rock on it.
Yeah,
so
but
they
that was
took
a
the
easy-
rock off and they did stucco.
But this
Easy.
time that was the biggest kind of like, oh crap, what
Yeah.
did we get ourselves into?
So this is where we
no.
question ourselves on the architect that we used. The
How does that work? Can you explain it? Because I again, for people that are listening who
Mhm.
haven't ever had this, opportunity to build, you hire an architect. Aren't they
Mhm.
supposed to know if it
Yeah.
can work? Like
Yeah.
that's their job, right? Isn't that their job? I'm asking. I don't. I,
Yeah.
You think?
Okay.
I know there's probably architects out there just moaning and groaning right now at this, but it's just, I guess there's designers, there's architects, and then there's, I guess sometimes the architect you talk with, they have their assistant kind of working on it, and
Yeah.
so you start getting these kind of hodgepodge of things, and when it gets to the details, like with engineering or even the placement of plugs, you're like,
Mhm.
they just kind of put them places, and you're like, well, that you can't put it there. You can't.
We
do
had a
that.
hallway
That's
with
against code, and
5
you're like,
plugs.
this is
really?
For no
this is
reason.
not
For a hallway.
what we
A
were
hallway.
expecting
Okay.
here. Come on, guys,
That's
get your act
odd.
together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think, we'll take most
Was
of the
that what
blame
you were
on
just
that
saying?
one.
You had a hallway with what?
5 plugs.
Oh, that's a lot of plugs for one
Yeah.
hallway.
Yeah, we had the electrician. We were walking. He's like, why do you have so many? We're like, I don't know. I mean,
It's what she.
I didn't think
planned.
that I
We
had to
didn't-
go into that.
Right.
And, I
Yeah.
thought, those are the kind of things. It's like, if I would give somebody advice or just, input, is that read everything on your blueprints, because you
Right.
got
Yeah.
electrical, you've got where the plugs are, you got everything. And after the fact, it's like, it's a change order for this, a change order for that. It's
Mhm.
cost this and cost that. And that's where you blow budgets right there. You
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
Plus, it just seems between all the professionals involved, And, obviously you have city or county permits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, the whole system is built for deniability at every stage, right? Like somebody can deny that it's their fault or their problem.
And again, we'll take the responsibility for not doing the research on the architect, but she sold us on our vision.
How do you shop for an architect?
The Parade of Homes is a really good way because you look at how the house is built. So if you see the modern house, who designed this? And then you go talk to that firm or you talk to that designer, which we did last time.
Okay.
Yeah, because you'll see like some builders, we learned is that some builders will have multiple architects because there's different styles.
Or preferred
Mediterranean,
architects.
Modern, traditional.
Right.
And then the builders kind of point you in that direction. And this time we did it completely bad. I guess we did it different.
Yeah.
This time we instead of the builder having us work with an architect, we went to an architect first.
Yeah.
Which
I come home.
I don't know
bet
which one
this
was
great
better.
architect.
I don't know.
She's done modern. She sees our vision. Like, I really
And did
like
she?
it. To a point.
But it was not buildable.
Right.
certain things, yeah.
So it's like the Brady Bunch episode where she wanted remember when the dad came home, he's an architect, and somebody wanted the powder puff house.
Pile on Mike Brady, are you?
This is before my time, James.
Everybody's
It is
television
before your
dad.
time. It is
I know,
before your
babe,
time.
we're talking to millennials here, right?
I know,
Are you
it's
guys
true.
millennials?
It's
We're
true.
late Gen Xers.
Oh, yeah,
Gen
Xers.
Xers.
Come on, you
I
don't remember
very
You remember
late
the
Gen
Brady
Xers.
Bunch
Yes.
episode? Yes, where
No.
his client wanted a powder puff house and he couldn't do it.
Maybe I remember the Tiki doll one.
Yeah, no, this is not that one. This is
I
not that one.
I remember when Marcia got hit in the nose with the football.
No, this is not that one.
Okay.
Okay, so you wanted the powder puff house. She said you can have the powder puff house, and the engineer and builder said, not so much.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it kind of put us on our heels because we've already spent a pretty good amount of money on this one.
A lot of money.
And we're being told this isn't going to work. And we're like, oh, great.
Well, that's where I was going to jump in. I mean, they read the blueprints, right? And so before the first shovel hit the dirt,
Right. Why didn't
wouldn't you
someone...
think somebody would have said something like, "This is what you're doing here"? I'm not sure I see it.
Our last builder, he tried to tell us,
Oh, really?
I can't build this. In other words, and I wish he would have just been a little bit more,
Right.
I can't build this. You need another designer.
Why did you think he couldn't build it? Just because he couldn't do a modern style, not because it wasn't buildable?
When we had a meeting between him and the architect, they were butting heads to
Yeah, it was
where
actually
it was very
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
He didn't want to work with her,
Nice.
probably,
Right.
and he was happy
He
to walk
didn't.
away.
He didn't want to work
And
with
in
her.
hindsight, we're like,
Awkward.
we really like this one, but we
Yeah.
really like you. You guys aren't
We're
getting
like,
along.
but
This is not going to work.
She sees our vision. Like, we're going to be on her side.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
We'll take the fall on that one too. It just,
Yeah.
there were signs, red flags. We didn't pick up on them.
and the
Oh,
kicker
that
and
sucks.
during this whole time,
I
we're
hate it when
working,
contractors
kids, everything.
win.
Right? Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying that, and in hindsight, I mean, we're working, got the kids, we're doing everything. This is stuff that we should have done our homework on.
But don't you think at some point when you hire, I'm a big proponent, when you hire someone to do a job, you let them do their job.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, so
Yeah,
you
we tried
hired an
to do that.
architect to design plans that is buildable. You paid this person, so you want them to do their job. I don't know. I always think that if you're going to hire somebody, you can't tell them how to do it. So you
Right.
kind of got to give yourselves a break. Like you paid a lot of money to have people do what their profession.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always your fault that they didn't do it.
There's this. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the one thing you've taken away with every cycle, every house that you've built is trust but verify.
Oh yes.
But then the other lesson is there's so much minutia in every how are you going to be on top of every, the minute you say, I just assumed this component of my house was going to be fine. That's when you get smoked, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy. It sucks.
Again.
Okay, really quick. We talked about this. You just touched on it. You have a beautiful master bedroom you're having built. Talk about the little issue with the closet. It's like, is this an architect issue or a build issue?
So architect designed out a closet system, dressers, built-in dressers, shelving, rods.
The closet of your dreams.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
HO, the ZZ, the house with the ZZ.
The house image idea book picture.
Yeah.
She did draw it out. The builder never bid it out with his carpenter, his trim guy, or the cabinet builders. And then I had just assumed he threw it in the budget
Assume
somewhere.
right there.
Right?
Oh no. Because
So
a
then-
closet could be,
So then
I mean, honestly,
we're talking
$30,000-$40,000. And no,
Yeah.
I know it's astronomical, but when you're doing a custom house, that's how much
You want-
closets cost.
You had said this word exactly. You want the closet to match the caliber of the house.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we met with the cabinet company, she's like, "Are we designing out your closet?" And I said, "Is this in budget?" And she's like, "This part isn't."
Oh,
So
then your heart must have just sank. Because
Yes.
then you knew
now we have to fork
Yes.
out
$30,000 to $40,000. Yeah, easily. I mean, just
to get this closet.
so
Wow.
the space is there. They
Yeah.
built the space.
The space is awesome.
But now you have to fill it with
Yeah.
closet stuff.
Something.
Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah. And
Who do you blame? Like, can you go back to the builder? Can you go back to the builder and say, do this. You owe us this. We're not paying $40,000 because of your mistake. Can you do that?
Well, we kind of did. And, he went back to the cabinet maker and they're like, okay, we'll take $25,000 off. I'm like, but still, like,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
still, it's like we wrote everything on there,
Mhm.
but it wasn't all on there. So.
Oh, brutal.
Whose fault is that? Honestly, in the end, isn't it the builder's? Isn't that on him?
I would think so. Like you're building this $2 million house. Where were you going to put the closet?
Right.
Who was going to build it?
You were just going to leave a hole because
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was at that point. It was just a hole in
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah.
I know.
Again.
That's
Speechless. I don't know. That one has that's been like a gut punch right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Please tell me the other closets are in the budget. The other guest
Do the
room
kids have a
closets.
closet?
Do the kids have a closet?
They have closet space. I have to build them out. I have
Yeah,
to
we'll see.
So
get-
none of the closets were
right. I have to
none
get a
of them.
system in there.
How many bedrooms?
We have 5.
So 5 closets that were not included in the budget.
Yeah.
Wow, he was kind of asleep at some point. Something
That's
happened.
really modern.
I guess.
Yeah, very-
yeah.
Yeah, minimalistic. Yeah, that's very
Really
minimalistic.
minimalistic.
Really, that's
Now-
very Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
gosh.
my god, very modern.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
Oh.
he would put in, the wood bar.
Right.
And,
You're
some
going to
wood
get a
shelving
fixed
built in.
shelf with a
Right.
wood
So
bar.
that's not what we wanted.
and you're
so.
like, that's not the caliber of this house.
No, right.
Wow.
Okay. So tell me a win you've had so far. There has to be a win.
Well, my favorite thing is I finally got my concrete house. So it's instead of having like the
Wood frame.
the wood framing, it's insulated concrete forms.
Oh, nice.
Like a
So-
bunker.
Yeah,
It
and,
is a
I mean,
bunker.
it's the walls are huge, and it's all concrete poured. They pour it down there and everything.
Bro,
It's-
you are Iron Man.
So
Yeah,
good
that's
for
something
you.
I'm
That's
just
awesome.
super excited about.
Tony Stark's house. I
Yeah.
love it.
So that's something I don't know. My dad was always into. He's like, you gotta build cinder block homes and stuff like that. And so that was this was more the energy efficient version of it. But yeah,
That's
I'm
amazing.
super excited
Super
about that.
That's
and you're going to
awesome.
take us on a little tour, right?
I am.
Okay, so we're
Oh
going
my
to
gosh.
So excited.
Can't
wrap
wait.
this up to go see this
We
house.
are. Let's push
Yeah.
out the GoPro.
We'll design my
We're gonna catch you
closet.
in-
Yes,
You
we
would
can,
design my
we'll
closet.
design a closet. Yes, we're going to go over there, and the 4 of us are
Yeah.
going to put our heads together and design
We're
this
saying-
closet.
James will build it.
Envision a closet here.
Oh,
I hope you like IKEA furniture.
I actually do. I do.
That's my level of expertise with closetry at the moment. So.
Okay, so
Oh,
before
hey.
we wrap this up and go see the new house, and we're gonna post all of this footage. We'll do shorts on our YouTube, and I'll post it on my Instagram, and of course, I'm gonna tag Sandra, and you get to see all the fun stuff that she's doing here at this house that we're actually recording in. But before we go, I have to ask you, just like curious, do you think this will be it?
No.
Oh, you've got Nick.
I hope. I hope.
I have an ocean view in my dreams.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
shoot.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
The villages might be the closest I
Oh my
get.
gosh, you're so funny. That's a
Oh my
little
gosh.
far from the ocean,
It's
but
okay.
you're gonna come
It's
and
close
visit.
enough.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, just to go with that. Are we talking Gulf of Mexico, Pacific, Atlantic? Where's the
I
stream?
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
All
still.
I
right.
don't know.
All right.
Kind of like maybe I guess we should be asking you for your advice on this one because in 7-8 years we're going to be at that 50 like you're talking about, and what do you want to do? You know,
Yeah.
so and you guys are on the road and everything, and I'm kind of like, what could we do?
I hear Cabo is kind of losing its appeal, right?
I'm not into Cabo anymore. I'm kind of,
yeah.
yeah. You've
Oh.
clearly listened to our episodes. Yeah. I'm kind of done with
Okay.
Cabo myself,
Okay.
which sounds so snotty.
No,
really
not at
does.
all. Not at
Yeah.
all. We need to know these things.
We love different areas of Mexico. Cabo is just not one of them for us.
No.
But if I had to pick between Atlantic and Pacific, I actually like the Atlantic Ocean better. I
Okay.
mean, Gulf of Mexico is really beautiful, but I'm not a Pacific person. Even I don't know. I don't care for the Pacific as much as I do the
I don't know,
Atlantic.
Cerritos Beach. Wasn't it Cerritos Beach outside of Cabo?
Yes,
An
but
hour
it was
outside
still,
of Cabo.
It was still really, really
San
a
Jose.
lot
Yeah.
of strong waves. Like Pacific just has such strong
It
waves.
does.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's
whatever.
cold
Yeah.
too.
It is
It's
cold. It is colder, but but you'll have plenty of time to vacation with your kids and like check out some
find it.
beach destinations.
You know,
yeah,
even
and we'll
a
help
coast-
you. We'll help you.
Even a coast home, like a Texas coast, is
Oh,
still like
it-
something I feel we can obtain
Of
one
course.
day.
Absolutely.
Still.
Yeah.
So even if that's it,
Have you guys thought of Alabama?
I've heard many good things about Alabama.
Yeah.
Orange Beach.
Orange
Yeah.
Beach, Gulf Shores. Yeah, you
Yeah.
should really at least vacation there. So
I want to.
Yeah, you might like it. So just a thought.
Just thought. A lot of condos there. I don't know
There
if you'd be
are.
happy. You
I
might not be
kinda-
able to build your palace on the beach.
I don't need a
there.
palace on the beach.
Okay.
Tybee Island might be more their speed.
Tybee Island might be good.
It's beautiful.
After I listened
Savannah.
to that, I meant to message you. I had a patient who they had a child named Tybee because
Really?
they liked.
Conceived at Tybee Island.
No, they just liked.
Potentially,
they
I don't know.
liked. They liked.
PG rated. PG
They liked
rated.
Tybee Island so much.
They named
just-
their kid after Tybee.
they
Well,
named
it's a
their
great.
Tybee.
It's great. I don't know if I named my kid after it, but it's a great place. You definitely want to go.
That's
on
how I learned
vacation.
about Tybee, though.
Oh,
I
really?
was like, this is an interesting name.
Oh, it's a
after Tybee
beautiful.
Island.
It's
Hmm.
right off the Georgia coast,
I hear it's
and
beautiful.
it's 15 minutes from Savannah. But we'll chat about that later.
That's
so,
right.
yeah, I'm excited to see the house. You want to go?
Yeah, let's go see it.
do
So
it.
we're going to
Right.
bust out the GoPro. Cannot thank Nick and Sandra enough for inviting us into their home. So great when we have a chance to be with listeners. And thank you, as always, for your support of our show.
course.
We really do appreciate, especially you gave the listeners of this episode a lot of Easter eggs from some of our previous episodes. We can't thank you enough.
Of course,
You
you guys
did.
have been great. I hope somebody gets something from this.
Aw.
Like
Well, you shared
a learning lesson.
Yeah, you shared so much with us. So I really thank you. Like from your very first buy and how it didn't discourage you 3 buys later. And
Yeah.
I mean, just hearing that is so inspirational. Like really, I for anyone that may have gotten burned on a real estate sale, you're here to say, hey, we're back and we're
We're
doing
back.
it even better. And
Keep
I
doing
know.
it. Keep going.
I mean, your resiliency is inspiring, and anybody who is aspiring to, like considering doing a build one day, I think you've demystified a lot of the process for the people who are listening.
You really
I
have.
think-
So,
I
I mean-
guarantee there's a ton of takeaway in this episode.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I mean, some people travel. We build houses.
It's your thing. We've
our
totally
bird
picked
watching.
up on that.
It's our bird watching.
It is your bird watching.
Bird watching.
All right, we're gonna hit this house and we're gonna take them out. Go ahead.
empty nest.
Full tank.
Yes. See you guys next week.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.